Hey everybody, I have a video here for you today. First, I'd just like to say Happy New Year to everybody. Hope everybody had a fun, safe, enjoyable New Year. But what I want to talk about today is underwater ruins found around the world that pretty much blow out of the water the theory that civilization just started 5,000 or 6,000 years ago. And here, this is Google Earth, and hints of the previous world are very evident on Google Earth. You can see this light blue area. When sea levels rose as much as 300 meters all at once, about 12,800 years ago, when we had an impact event, probably on the ice sheets, it radically changed the land masses of the world. We had land equal in size to the area of Europe and China that were enveloped in water and disappeared forever. Here you see Florida was about 3 times as wide back then. People talk about the Bering Sea land bridge. Well, back then it was actually a huge continent that connected Russia and Alaska. And down here, off of Australia and Indonesia, this was one massive continent back then. Now we just have chains of islands, but this was all one connected mass back then. Now, the first site I want to talk about, and I'm going to talk about maybe 5 or 6 of them here, or just show you information on them, but the first one is Yonaguni. It's the southernmost island in the Japanese chain. And when I want to get good information on a site, I will listen to somebody who has spent a considerable amount of time investigating this site. And I am going to play a clip from the Joe Rogan Experience where Graham Hancock talks about diving off of Yonaguni here. And I'm going to show some pictures, and I'll get back to you in just a second.
Hancock would not accept that it was a man-made structure, but I have to say that at that point, Yonaguni is a very difficult dive. It's a very difficult dive. The seas are wild. There's a huge current flows right in front of the monument, and you have to be an accomplished diver to do any work. Schock was on his second open water dive at this point, and on those initial dives that we did on Yonaguni, he was largely fighting for his life.
Jesus Christ.
And it's very...
You guys have balls. I love it.
It's very... my wife Santha, who's a photographer, and I...
Santha's right here with us.
...have done more than 200 plus dives on the Yonaguni monument. We went through the process of learning to dive and really getting the skills to be able to handle that kind of current, which is literally going to rip your mask off your face and take your regulator out of your mouth. It's like swimming in a river against the current, actually. So what I would say is that I think Schock was a little premature with that conclusion, and I think I have huge respect for Robert Schock. I have huge respect for his openness of mind and his geological acumen, but not enough time was spent on the monument to reach that decision. And it's not just one monument, it's a whole complex of monuments. And further north settles it for me off Okinawa, which is about 400 or 500 miles north of Yonaguni. There is a majestic stone circle 110 feet beneath the water, which again Santha and I have dived on extensively, which Schock has not seen, there is just no way on earth that monument could have been.
Do you have photos of this online?
Yes, we do. We have photos on my website.
What would I look for?
Okay, you go on to www.
I'm sure if I just Google it.
Go to grahamhancock.com.
Okay.
And then go to gallery. And then go to underwater. We have underwater on the gallery.
Gallery, underwater, yes. Oh, man.
And in the underwater section, you're going to see a stone circle somewhere there with somebody above it holding a video camera. That's me holding the video camera.
Oh, yeah.
And down below you is a stone circle. And there's probably some more shots of it. I'm going to just come around and see what you're looking at there.
I was looking at this right here. Is that it?
Okay, yeah, that's the stone circle. This is the central upright, and these are the surrounding uprights.
Yeah, that's somebody made that. Get
and
out
this
of here.
this thing is 12 feet high.
Wow.
Wow.
And it's 110 feet beneath the sea.
That's so cool.
Wow, that's incredible.
That's amazing.
It's the most extraordinary thing. And 110 feet beneath the sea tells us that it was made at least 13,000 years ago, because that's the last time that 110 foot level was above sea level.
Once again, that was Graham Hancock on the Joe Rogan Experience. I will leave a link for that below. But the next site I want to talk about is out in the Pacific here. And this site is called Madol. and some of you might be familiar with this site also. But some call this the Venice of the Pacific, and these ruins seem to rise right out of the ocean. Stuff has been found underwater here, but this is just a fascinating ancient site with many more questions and answers. But here you get a little bit of a peek on Google Earth at Nan Madol. But I just want to play a little bit of a clip from a video I made on Nan Madol about a year ago, and I'll go right back to you. Now the next site I want to talk about is Bimini in the Bahamas. And obviously, if I just back out a little bit here, this was all once a massive island 10,000, 12,000 years ago. But Bimini, the most famous underwater feature of this area, the Bimini Road, and it's located up in the northern end of this island. But I just want to take you over to Ancient Origins here and just do a little reading. It says, does Bimini Road lead to the lost civilization of Atlantis? And our most famous account of Atlantis is from Plato. And I just think it's fascinating, and other people have stated this, that Plato has nailed the date exactly. He says that this cataclysm where Atlantis went under, he dates it to 11,500 years ago. The exact time geological evidence has showed us that there was a second cataclysmic event on Earth happening within a 1,500-year period. So Plato's account, coming from prehistory, from a source through Solon and Egyptian priests, had that dated exactly. But it says, off the coast of Bimini lies an ancient stone formation submerged beneath crystal blue waters. The mysterious path makes many wonder if it is the remnants of the mythical lost land of Atlantis. Researchers, geologists, archaeologists, and scientists alike have visited and studied this huge flat stones off the coast of Bimini known as the Bimini Road. They have tried for years to discern whether the limestone blocks are a natural phenomenon or evidence of an ancient lost civilization. And I'm not going to claim to have any special knowledge of the Bimini Road, but I just think the possibility is there that this is a natural, or I'm sorry, this is a man-made feature. And, you know, we have so many other underwater ruins that are man-made features, so we can't just dismiss that this is a natural formation. And there's a lot to suggest that it is indeed man-made. But also, I think one of the more stranger stories is the story from, I don't know how many years ago, about the underwater ruins that were found off the coast of Cuba when a U.S. submarine was doing geological surveys of the ocean floor. And there were reports that came out of an underwater city with pyramids and some really strange structures coming from depths, I believe, of a couple thousand feet deep. And that just was a real head scratcher. And that story has all but freaking vanished. Anybody has any information on that story, you can leave it below. Now, the next site I want to talk about is off of Sicily here. And in this exact location earlier this summer, there was a significant find, and it is called the Mediterranean Monolith. And that is the exact area it comes from. And I just want to jump over to this website here. I will leave the link below. It says an ancient monolith has been discovered in the Mediterranean Sea. And it gives the coordinates of where this was found. And it says, archaeologists working in the Sicilian Channel between Tunisia and Sicily have discovered a submerged 40-foot-long, 8-meter limestone monolith carved by Stone Age humans some 10,000 years ago. And this is a shot of what it looks like. And it's anybody's guess what this thing actually was. But obviously carved at least 10,000 years ago by somebody. Now, going back to Google Earth here, I just want to back out. And the Mediterranean has changed greatly and continues to change for the past 10, 12,000 years. But I just want to take you to a discovery in the Aegean Sea up in this area. And this was done by Robert Ballard when he was looking for warships. And I'm going to just show a clip from a video I made a couple of years ago, and I will leave the link for that video below, but I'll just take you over to that clip right now.
Because we constantly are making discovery. We just got back. We were out in the ship and we were doing all sorts of crazy things, and we were doing a thing with National Geographic on the Battle of Gallipoli off of in the Aegean, looking for these warships from the time of World War I, and we found them and we're all sorts of cool. And we're looking, but what I love about what I do is most of the really important discoveries I made were done by accident looking for something else. I didn't expect to find those clams. I didn't expect to find those black smokers. There's so many of my discoveries that I stumbled on them. And here's another classic example. So National Geographic says, go find these warships. And we go, yeah, cool, we know sort of where they are. We'll mow the lawn, find them. So I'm going in here and I'm trying to find a battleship called the HMS Triumph up here off Anzac Beach. And we found it, but as I was coming in on the area where the battleship was, I look over my sonar and I see this. I see a ring, a circular ring that's 45 meters across with some sort of structure in the middle. What is that? That is probably a site of human habitation 9,000 years ago when that particular piece of real estate was above water. A Neolithic site, one of the oldest now discovered. And we went down and walls of stone, we found 12 of them. We're heading back there to do some more on them in a few months.
So that was really interesting coming from Robert Ballard, what he accidentally discovered up here in the Aegean Sea. And I will leave a link to that original video where I use that clip in. But that video I point out, since Robert Ballard pinpoints exactly where he made this discovery. In that video I show you where the site of this discovery down to the Great Pyramid is 671 miles. From the site of the discovery over to Gobekli Tepe is 671 miles. And incredibly, from Gobekli Tepe to the Great Pyramid, it's 671 miles. The site and Gobekli Tepe and the Great Pyramid, they form a perfect equilateral triangle. Now, I just want to go over to one of the more amazing discoveries, underwater discoveries coming from this time period of 10, 12,000 years ago. And this is the ancient city, or this is the city of Dwarka in India. And I'll back out just so you get a good view of where exactly this lies. But just off the coast here, an ancient underwater city has been discovered. And I'm just going to jump over to this website here and do a little reading. I will leave the link below. It It says Dwarka, mythical city found underwater. Dwarka, one of the best studied underwater sites in India, has commanded much attraction, also because the site is considered one of the 4 Dhammas, a sacred place for pilgrimage of the Hindu religion. According to ancient Sanskrit literature, Lord Krishna founded the holy city of Dwarka, which subsequently got submerged in the sea, according to the story. It says marine archaeological explorations off Dwarka have brought to light a large number of stone structures. They are semicircular, rectangular, and square in shape, and are in water depths ranging from intertidal zone to 6 meters. But there is also deeper ruins. And Graham Hancock has dove in these waters in the Gulf of Cambay. He has talked to local fishermen who have snagged their nets on the ancient ruins of this underwater city. It says, the explorations conducted in the Gulf of Cambay waters revealed sandstone walls, a grid of streets, and some evidence of a seaport 70 feet underwater. The ruins have been proclaimed the remains of the legendary lost city of Dwarka, which, according to ancient Hindu texts, was the dwelling place of the deity known as Krishna. It says, until recently, the very existence of the city of Dwarka was a matter of legends. Now that the remains have been discovered underwater, and with many clues seeming to suggest that this, indeed, is the legendary Dwarka, dwelling place of Lord Krishna, could it be that Lord Krishna and his aerial battle with King Salva were more than just a legend? And that is all up for debate. The implications of accepting the archaeologist finds as proof that the sunken city is indeed the legendary Dwarka would be very significant for the understanding of what the Mahabharata is. It would no longer be merely a book of myths and legends, but in fact, at least to some extent, a genuine account of past events. And once again, I will leave this website below. So, in just wrapping up, I think what we have found so far is just a fraction of what is out there. I think there are some pretty incredible discoveries still to be made. But unfortunately, we know more about the surface of Mars and the Moon than we do our own ocean bottoms. I think the possibilities are endless. What we have discovered so far is probably just a hint of what is out there. Hope you thought this was interesting. And y'all have a nice 2016.